Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time of the day you're watching this broadcast, this is Dr. Eric Tangumonkan with IAM Approach, where we inspire, equip, and motivate people to discover God's great potential in them, develop that potential, and deploy it. I want to thank you heartily for joining us today on this broadcast. Relax. You are in for a ride of a lifetime. I'm greatly honored to have you here. And I want you to do me a favor. I want you to share some of your social currency with me. I have a goal to have 100,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So it's good to have a goal, to be working towards something. I'm going to need your help for this goal of mine to be achieved. We achieved the goal. We help many people hear about the death of racism, because together we are going to put racism out of business. Can you do these three things for me? The first one is to share this broadcast, invite other people to join us. And the second one is to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you like, follow me on my other social media handles as well. And the third, but not the least, is for you to get a copy of my book, Racism, Where Is Your Sting? A provocative look at the beginning and the end of racism. I'm not talking about racism because I want to settle any scores with anybody. I'm bringing a message of hope. And I think for you to truly understand where I'm coming from, it's imperative that you get a copy of this book, spend some time with the book, and understand where I am coming from. And together, we are going to put racism out of business. I keep saying, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Yes, I want to light your own lamp. I want to light your own candle. Racism is evil. Racism is darkness. And the only way we drive it away, the only way we put it out of business, the only way we confront it is by shining light into this darkness, because it is totally reprehensible. It is totally unacceptable to treat people based solely on the color of their skin. It is not acceptable because it is degrading that which God said it is good. When you read in Genesis, the declaration is clear. God said, let's make man in our image and likeness. And the founding fathers of the United States of America piggyback on this when they declared, we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. All men are created equal. None is inferior and none is superior. That has been the ground zero of my discussion. And I want you to hold that. If you can understand that you are created in the image and likeness of God, You are not going to require any other person to make you more human because you are already human enough. You are not a descendant of some apes. God created you. Your life has meaning, your life has purpose. We're going to continue our discussion today. Yesterday, I said I would try to remove the log of wood that is in my eye before I talk about the speck of wood that is in some other person's eye. If you missed that broadcast, I was talking about I was told not to get married to a foreign woman. It was a moment of confession, of coming clean. I wanted to go check that one out. Today we'll be talking about ethnocentrism is alive and well. Ethnocentrism is alive and well. I'm bringing this up because what these days we are calling racism, it's going to be better for us to look at it through the ethnocentric lens. And before we move ahead, let's go back to the discussion, the definition of ethnocentrism. I had a whole episode on this, but it's good to refresh your mind if this is the first time that you're hearing this. The Cambridge English Dictionary defines ethnocentrism as a belief that a particular race or culture is better than others. A belief that a particular race or culture is better than others. It's a belief. Just because somebody believes something doesn't make it true. I want you to understand that distinction. Just because you believe something, it doesn't make it true. And just because you say something, it doesn't make it true. And just because people believe something about you or say something about you, it doesn't make it true. I always say if somebody calls you a donkey, do you sound like a donkey? Do you look like a donkey? Why do you accept the labels that other people are giving to you? Many talk about the black race. Really? Anybody's black like this? No. What about white? Anybody white like this? No. That is why we need to understand where these labels are coming from and these belief systems that are faulty so we can challenge them. And I have an issue with the Oxford, the Cambridge English Dictionary definition. It is talking about a particular, no, there's one particular race, there's one human race. So there's no point of saying we can be broken down into different races based upon our skin color. According to this definition, the feelings of superiority are based on a belief, which in many cases is based on nothing more than stereotypes and distorted information about other people and cultures. All cultures are not the same and should not necessarily be because they serve different purposes for those that practice them, right? But passing judgment, value judgment is something that humans are prone to doing, and their conclusions are usually faulty, to say the least. Cultures are made by people to serve them. That is it. And it's very dangerous to pass value judgment on people's cultures without understanding the purpose of the culture. None is superior, none is inferior. Now, here is a more elaborate definition of ethnocentrism by Bachi, who states that ethnocentrism is the tendency to place one's own tribe, race, or country at the center of human affairs as superior to other such peoples. According to Bauchi, ethnocentrism has existed virtually in all societies in human history. To feel superior to other people requires that one is aware of others beyond one's national or cultural boundaries. To feel superior to other people also requires that one knows enough about others to judge their civilization or way of life as inferior to one's own, right? So you come in contact with other cultures, or other people, you judge them, you evaluate them. I don't know what their criteria is. And the conclusion is that, oh, I'm superior. And because of that, they are inferior. Remember, The manifestation of this superiority complex and inferiority complex is what we call racism. It's just what it is. And that is why I am of the opinion that we should kill that word racism and instead focus on ethnocentrism. Where is this need to feel superior to other cultures, to other people coming from? Our fallen nature. When Adam and Eve sinned, our senses became distorted. And now when we see stuff, when we see people, we don't see God's image any longer. And that is why the very first brother, Cain, killed Abel, because he couldn't see the image of God in his brother. If he did that, he would have never allowed greed, jealousy, envy to prompt him to kill his brother. We still have the same problem today. I started by us looking at the definition of ethnocentrism because it's a belief. It's driven by the faulty assumption that your culture is superior to other ones. And that is why I said we should discard tribe, again, because it's loaded with a lot of baggage. We should discard racism and talk about ethnocentrism. So when we discard the word tribalism, for obvious reasons, because it is loaded with a lot of baggage, the word ethnocentrism takes the place of tribalism. I know some people say it is, oh, they are tribes. When you say like that, what you're saying is tribe, from the root word tribus, those on the fringes of the empire, the primitive, the uncivilized, the barbarians. Those were at the fringes of the Roman Empire. When you trace the root word of the word tribe, it's going to take you towards that direction. And in actual fact, those who insist on using the word tribe, what they are saying is the tribal people are primitive, the tribal people are not sophisticated, the tribal people are not as advanced and developed as those that belong to the ethnic. And I said, this type of words, we have to stop using them. Everybody belongs to one ethnic group or the other. The issue is ethnocentrism, the feeling that we are superior, this feeling that we are better. And this is something that is universal, is found amongst all people. Remember yesterday, while I was discussing that I was told not to get married to a foreign woman, I said this: in Cameroon, inter-ethnic marriages are not commonplace. They are not commonplace because the Bassas, the Ewondos, the Bamileki, these are all the different ethnic groups in Cameroon. The Bakosis, the Bayang, the Mogamos, the Bayangis, the Balon, the Bafors, the Bakundus, the Fulanis, Hausas, Bororos, etc. They don't intermarry very easily. People frown upon it. Some are chastised, some are castigated. Some families even disown their kids if they cross that line. Cameroon is not an exception. Go to Nigeria. The Igbos, the Hausas, the Yorubas, the Fulanis, they frown on intermarriages. A few brave people are bridging the gap, but it is not commonplace. Go to East Africa, the same. Go to South Africa, the same. North Africa, the same. Go to India. The caste system, people don't like to get married out of their caste. Ethnocentrism is well and alive, and it's very dangerous. We need to confront it. Forget about racism. The elephant in the room is ethnocentrism, as I'm going to say, as I'm going to see. So I was saying that we should discard the term of tribalism. For example, when the Europeans encounter cultures that did not wear clothes, they consider them what? Primitive and backwards. These people did, I'm not saying that nudity should be encouraged, but in these societies where nudity was the norm, you could not sell pornography. In the societies where the women didn't wear anything, their boobs are out, pornography, no market, zero. The Europeans said, oh, these people are primitive, they don't wear clothes, they are backwards. Let's give them clothes. Now, what is happening in the West? In Western societies, they are now exporting nudity, isn't it? In the form of pornography. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now you see people who are already nude, you say, oh, they're primitive. You turn around, you start selling, exporting nudity. It doesn't make sense. There are even communities that insist on going nude in the West. Therefore, to have labeled people who did not have any need for clothing primitive was not well thought out. Now, this is a discussion for another book. But I bring this up to say, when we say we are superior, says who? What is your criteria? Under what context? We have to take this seriously. Cultures and customs, people come up with those things because it serves them. And what I've just said is, the West came in contact with communities that were not having clothes on, and they said, oh, they're primitive, they're not properly covered, and now the West is exporting pornography, they're selling nakedness. Think about that. Who is primitive? Who is more advanced? So I want you to understand ethnocentrism. Again, please. It's when one group feels they're superior to the other one. It doesn't matter who. And that is why what we are calling racism, we are mixing up. There's one human race. We need to kill racism and focus on ethnocentrism. When we do that, you realize that ethnocentrism, it cuts across everywhere you find people interacting with each other. And that is why if we confront ethnocentrism, then ethnocentrism will take us to where this problem started. The deprivation, the wickedness of the heart of man. Why do you need to feel superior to other people? Why? There's no need. When you realize that we're all been created by the image of God, you will treat people the right way. I bring this up to ask this very important question, because each time we see interactions between Caucasians and other people's group, well, you can lump them in, the brown, the colored. I still have issues with those terms because nobody is colorless. When you say some are colored, in essence, you are saying some are colorless, but there are no colorless people. Everybody has color. Everybody does. And that's what I've said in my language, the Mundani language that I spoke as a kid. I had a whole episode on why we have just 3 colors in the language. We have black, white, and red. I would like you to go listen to that episode. We have just 3 colors. Please don't call us primitive for having just 3 colors. Don't go there. We don't need your approval. We don't need your validation, because when we talk about the black and the white race, what are we saying? I don't look black. I'm darker. Yeah, maybe chocolate, whatever color you want, or brown, it doesn't really matter because it's not important. When we come to classifying people, we play it dumb as well. We pick 2 colors. Oh, the colored ones. If we want to play the color game, let's make sure we are identifying people using the right colors. I'm saying all this. I want you to understand. I'm not here to blame anybody. I just want you to know that each and every one of us has the capacity, given the circumstances, to be ethnocentric, given the circumstances, to look down on other people. That is the elephant in the room. And that is why people don't intermarry. You is screaming and yelling, oh, the Caucasians are racist, are this, are that. And you know very well that you cannot intermarry. You know very well you cannot get married out of your ethnic group. You're just as bad as those who are calling racist. And that is why we need this word. Racism is a social construct. We need to get rid of it. The basic question is, why is ethnocentrism tolerated when other people engage in it at the exclusion of others? Why is it tolerated when a Yoruba man cannot get married to an Igbo person? Why is it tolerated? when a Bakossi person cannot get married to an Etone? Why is it tolerated? But when the Caucasians manifest it, everyone hears racism, racism, racism. Why? We're going to be talking about the segregation on Sunday morning next, and you see that we those of us who are complaining, we are just as bad as those who are pointing fingers too. Why is it that the same segregation, the same feelings of superiority or inferiority, when other people manifest it, nobody yells at racism, but when Caucasians do it, we bash them? Why? Why? This term racism has been expanded in the United States of America to mean everybody in the Republican Party and anyone who supports President Trump. This is a big lie. Oh, racist president. Oh, the Republicans are racist. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Please, if you disagree with me, do me a favor. Yeah, I'm not hiding. I supported some of the policies of President Trump. Yeah, send the rotten eggs and tomatoes my way. That makes me a racist. And that's why some have accused me of black privilege. You think about that. There's so much talk about white privilege. Have you heard about black privilege as well? When is it going to stop? Oh, the next is going to be brown privilege, minority privilege, majority privilege. This insanity has to stop. This generalization from people who themselves cannot get married to people who are not from their ethnic group and will not allow their children to get married to other children from different ethnic groups is hypocrisy of the highest category and must and should be pointed out. All of you who scream racism, 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 and you cannot allow your own children to get married to people from other ethnic groups, you are guilty as charged of ethnocentrism, which is worse than the so-called racism because there's only one human race. You feel that your own people are so superior. You feel that your own way of doing things is so superior and others are inferior. And that is why you can't allow your children to intermarry. Come on, man. Why is it that the idea of Chinatown in the United States of America is cool and welcome, while Caucasians are lambasted for being racist? Why do we need a Chinatown? Why? Aren't we all Americans? Why is the idea of Nigerian American, Cuban American, whatever American, Cameroonian American, all these hyphenated Americans? Why is that idea celebrated? And it's very easy to call the Caucasians racist. Why? Why do people insist on saying, "Oh, I'm a Cuban this," or "I'm a Nigerian American," I'm Irish"? Why is that? Why is that cool? What is wrong in just being Americans? I find it not only hypocritical, but lamentable. You know, it is more shocking the tales of horror and mistreatment you hear from Africans in China and the Middle East. I've read stories, I've heard stories. I saw a commercial made in China depicting Africans. It was so deplorable, so hateful, so degrading. I'm not just going to talk about it. Where is the outrage? All the Africans being maltreated in Dubai, in the Middle East. Where is the outrage? I find it not only hypocritical, but lamentable when some people from the Middle East, where Christians and other people of other faiths are tortured, imprisoned, beheaded with impunity. Talk about Americans as racist people and people in Europe being racist. I found it's mind-boggling. Where is the outrage when Christians are persecuted in Pakistan and other countries, and you have people from those countries here in the United States of America enjoying freedoms, and they dare talk about racism without pointing to the evil that is taking place in their countries of origin? Where is the outrage? I don't have no scores to settle. What I'm saying is that ethnocentrism is well and alive. And those pointing a finger to other people, you must remember that 4 fingers are pointing back to you. We need to have this conversation. Those insisting on introducing and practicing the Sharia law in Western democracies are in essence saying that ethnocentrism trumps all. What they care about more than anything else is maintaining their way of life because the familiar is comfortable, the familiar is safe. You left the country where the Sharia law was practiced. Why did you leave? Why did you leave? If it gave you everything you needed, why did you leave? Yeah, why did you leave? I know I'm going to be castigated for saying this, but it's a basic question. And this applies to all of us. If you left a country because you practiced certain things and they didn't deliver the goods for you, why are you insisting, replicating that which failed you? Ethnocentrism. We don't change easily. We like the familiar. We like what makes us comfortable. We want to make progress, but we want to keep the very thing that prevented us from making progress. Please, don't invoke Islamophobia on me. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anybody. I have friends across the board. We are having a conversation here about ethnocentrism and us feeling that our ways are more superior than others and clinging to it and using it to exclude, using it to manipulate, using it to suppress, using it at times to murder other people. Can somebody justify to me why Christians are being killed in Pakistan, in Egypt, and other Middle Eastern countries? Why are Christians being persecuted and murdered? Why are they being killed? Why? Why are they being killed? And you are here in the West, you dare talk about racism? You dare talk about racism when where you came from, they're killing other people. And to you, it's okay. If you are serious, you should start condemning that which is happening where you fled from. Unfortunately, we're living in such a politically correct world that what I've just written is going to cost me something. It seems common sense is dead and has been replaced by irrational emotionalism. If what is good for Peter should be good for Paul, isn't it? What's going on? Do we ever sit down and think? People are chanting, oh, Caucasians are evil. They are bad. Look at them. They hate us. They've treated us badly. They did this. They did that. You fled your country of origin, moved to the United States. I did a whole series on immigration, 52 weeks, 52 days on immigration. Go check it out. You know my stand. I'm pro-immigrant. Immigration is part of human history. But when you move as an immigrant, you go into a new community, you better make your intentions very clear. If the reason you moved was not for better opportunities, but to spread your ideas, conquer and take over, then you should not complain when there is pushback from the people in your host country. Okay? There are three reasons, let's say, three main reasons plus one where people migrate. The first one is looking for better economic opportunities, fleeing political persecution, or they are moving to occupy, to conquer, to spread their ideas. The fourth one is when people are forcefully moved through slavery. The first two, I won't blame anybody for fleeing a war zone. I was watching a guy yesterday in the Paralympics who fled Burundi. He lost a leg in that conflict. A lot of people died. Why will you blame the guy? No, he ended up in France. And people looking for better economic opportunities. That's how I ended up, maybe education or economic. That's how I ended up in the United States. But there's a third category. These are people out to conquer, out for conquest, out to spread their ideology. If you fall under that category, don't think they're going to hand it to you in a gold platter. Don't complain when there's pushback, because nobody wants to be pushed around. After the election of the first biracial president in the history of the United States of America, Barack Hussein Obama, he talked about racism more than any other president in the history of the country. I was perplexed. To say, as he said, racism is in the DNA of the United States of America is tantamount to saying there is no hope for the country. How can you change the DNA? While such a statement scores good political points, it is venom. It is venom. It is venom that must be rejected. It's venom that must be rejected. How can a person that was voted in Iowa, which is maybe more than 90% Caucasian, say this? Racism is in the DNA of the country. What is that? Racism is not in the DNA of the United States of America. Racism is not in the DNA of the United States of America. What each and every human has in them is the propensity to hate, be greedy, lust, lie, cheat, take advantage of others, commit adultery, you name it. These issues of the heart are not a respecter of persons and are colorblind. They don't know color. That is why anywhere you go in the world, to one degree or another, you're going to find people who hate, who steal, who lust, who lie, who cheat, who are greedy, self-centered, the double cross, they commit adultery, fornication, they get drunk, they will take advantage of other people. Anywhere you find humans interacting. And that is why there is no country on the face of the earth, as I speak, that doesn't have laws to govern human conduct, that is not having penalties for breaking those laws. I've said, and I'm going to say it again, nobody can say, oh, I mistreated this person because of their skin color. If you do that, you have a serious problem. You are to be pitied above all men. something in somebody's skin spoke you to act irrationally. The issue is an issue of the heart. The heart, as the prophet Jeremiah said, the heart of man is deceitful above all things, and it is desperately wicked. The heart of man is desperately wicked. Who can know it? Who can know it? And that is why we need a regeneration of our hearts. That's why we need to be born again. We need a reset. Thanks be to God that He sent His one and only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, to die so that our sins can be forgiven, we can get reconciled back to God, and our senses restored. I've said these heart issues are not a respecter of persons, and they are colorblind. You find people who behave like this all over the world and among all ethnicities. The truth is that we are more than flesh and blood and have a spiritual dimension that drives everything. If this spiritual dimension is not functioning properly, nothing else will. That is where the problem is. Why all the hate? Why all the resentment? Why can't we just get along? Because we are sick. That is why it is written, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We've all sinned. We are all sinners because Adam and Eve disobeyed God. But there is hope. You can get reconciled back to God. You can be restored. And you start seeing the world the way you're supposed to see. You see people made in the image and likeness of God. Remember, ethnocentrism is really the issue we should be addressing. When other ethnic groups think they're better or superior than others and use that as an excuse to segregate, suppress, and take advantage of others. I want to thank you so much for watching. Our next broadcast is going to be on the most segregated hour in America. That is 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. I don't want you to miss that one. It's going to be a lot of fireworks. Remember to share this broadcast. And if you haven't got a copy of this book, please go ahead and do. I want you to read it so you understand what I'm saying within context. Thank you. God bless you. Enjoy your weekend.